out of his way to we're being recorded. Sean went out of his way to antagonize Tom while we were shooting to ensure that he hated him on camera. So he would show up in scenes that he wasn't even in. If Tom was shooting something, and he'd stand behind the camera, giving him the finger, and so that was their relationship. Tom had a small role in the film during rehearsals, and we had a 4-week rehearsal period where they gave us all the military training, and right before we shot, they swapped the roles. A guy named Don Kimmel, originally it was in that role, and Tom was his sidekick, and they switched it right before we shot. And the scene that everybody remembers of him shooting a gun off in the out of the barracks. I was stuck. A couple of us snuck up on the set, and we could watch that whole thing. And while that scene was being shot, I knew that kid was going somewhere, you know. And we were all friends. And when the film ended, we came back out to California, and I went to Tom. The first movie Tom did after that was a thing called "Losing It" with Shelley Long. It was a little movie about teenagers going to Tijuana to lose their virginity. And I went with Tom to the first showing of that in the theater in Westwood, California. Nobody was in the theater. It was not an opening because it was such a low budget movie. We just went to the first airing showing of the movie. So it was us in an empty theater with 2 other people sitting somewhere. That was his first movie. And then recently I went to see the Top Gun Mission
Maverick.
So I'm sitting there in a packed theater watching this massive superstars movie, and I thought, "Wow, you've come a long way since I first knew you, man." But I'm happy for him. He's a nice guy. I haven't talked to him in years, but he's a good guy. I'll tell you a little. I'll tell you a little. I won't hog this right now for this, but I'll tell you a story about him at the Sean Penn's wedding a little later.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Right. A little. You gave us a little teaser there. So
little teaser, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
My question is, during the filming of Jaws 2, they had you guys go sailing, correct? They had you learn how to go sailing and all that.
Yeah.
Did you ever keep up with it? Did you?
I have not sailed since the movie ended.
You
haven't.
Now, did like the sharks scare you? Are you afraid of sharks now, or did that like change your perspective a little bit being in that movie?
I never liked the ocean. I was always terrified of the ocean. I grew up on the Atlantic Ocean in New Jersey, and the very first shark attack that got national attention in the 1920s.
1905, yeah.
A guy named Zandt off the coast of Asbury Park. No relation to me, but that story, since I was a kid, it always stuck in my head. So we filmed on the Gulf of Mexico, and that felt like a bathtub. It was warm. It was nice. There were turtles swimming next to us. I was never in fear of anything down there, even though there were sharks in the water with us at the time.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and sailing. Quite frankly, I liked sailing, but David Elliott did most of the sailing, and I just worked the jib. So anybody can sit there and do that. And we lost walkie-talkies. We flipped the boat over a lot while we were filming that movie, mostly because we were bored. Because they would send you out in these boats, and Jeannot, the director, had never filmed on water before, so he would say, "Okay, sail to the sparkles in the water over there," and it's like, well, it's different from our angle than your angle with the sun hitting the water. So it took us a long time to find where we were supposed to be, and then the clouds would come over and they'd stop again, so they'd make us just keep sailing. So as we did that, David kept speeding the boat up and tipping us over just to be funny, I guess. And so we lost a lot of equipment doing that film. They didn't like that part. But
was that more of a case? Was that more of a case of the boat is broken rather than the shark is broken?
Yes, yeah, and to a large degree, the director was broken too, because we were all just finding our way doing that. We didn't do the first movie. They worked all those kinks out in the first movie. We weren't in that one.
Yeah.
that sort of follows on really with that. I mean, I was watching some of your previous interviews earlier, getting ready for this, and it's quite. We all know that the original Jaws production was problematic, but apparently Jaws 2 had similar issues as well, and I believe Roy didn't really want to be there, did he?
Oh, he hated it. He hated being there. He had to be there under contract from the first movie. He gave up the only movie I know for sure that he gave up because he was doing ours was The Deer Hunter.
Oh wow!
I think he was doing Christopher Walken's character.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which character, but he was pissed off at that. He wanted to do that, but he had to do ours, and they gave him a car when he got there. They did everything they could to try and make it happy for him, but he was not happy. I've said this before. The only time I saw him in a good mood was a week before we finished filming in Florida. They threw a birthday party for me, and he showed up for that, and he could not have been happier and nicer. And it's like, and at first I thought, what? Why? And then I realized, oh, you're leaving in a week. Okay, now I understand. But Gary Springer, who played Andy, he worked with him a lot afterwards because they were both New Yorkers, and Gary took over his father's PR firm and ran into Roy all the time in New York at festivals and things. And he said he was a whole different guy. They got along great. Keith Gordon played the younger version of Bob Fosse in All That Jazz, and met Roy on the set of that. And again, they got along great with them. So I think Roy just got in his own way doing our film, and he could have had a nicer time.
Why didn't he want to do it? Oh, sorry.
That's right. Well, that's me to summing up.
Why didn't he want to do it? Did he not get how amazing the first one was?
He wanted to leave the first one alone. That was a classic, and why spoil it? Rich,
oh, okay.
And the first one is a classic. Nobody who made Jaws 2 thinks it's Jaws. Jaws is in a class.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not
My
bad.
favorite.
It's an okay movie.
Oh, yeah, superb. Yeah.
I still think it's the second best shark movie ever made.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Martin, you're such a liar. You know you love the revenge. You just don't admit it.
That's a sore point with me. Let's not get me angry in front of Mr. Van Zandt here.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Jaws of Revenge?
Me once was plenty.
I would argue once was too many.
Well, I was a Michael Caine fan too, so I wanted.
It's a Christmas movie. We should all watch it for Christmas.
That's a good argument. Yeah.
That's funny.
I've got a question.
Go on, Phil. Sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, can I say Brandon is absolutely devastated. He's not here to see you tonight. He's had to go with the Cub Scouts to an overnight stay. So
I was looking forward to seeing him. Please say hello for me, will you?
He still thinks you're called Bob Rayleigh. So, but yeah, he says hello and Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, Brandon.
But my question is, obviously in the Hancock version, is it true you were going to play Quint's son?
That's what they told me. They had my introduction scene on the Chappaquiddick ferry. I was supposed to be just leaning against the ferry, and I think I was whistling or humming the shanty that
Show me the way to go home.
Yeah.
Fair Spanish ladies are.
Yeah. And then that got lost once John Hancock and Dorothy Tristan left the film.
Because I always thought is the reason for your death scene originally, obviously you get bit in half. I thought it was something to do, like a same kind of Quint death kind of thing.
Yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
But
I had such a good death in that first movie. Oh, I wish.
I'm still searching for it.
Well, the only one we can find is the one that I shot, but the original one was going to be great. I was swimming towards shore and right at the end, and then you see me push through the water just the same way Eddie is pushed through the water in the scene where he dies. And Roy was going to pull me up by the hand, and only this much of me was going to come out of the water.
Wow. Oh, man.
Man, we missed that. They took that out of the movie.
That would have definitely made it an R movie. It was really gross. And and then they and I was called Sideburns in the first movie.
Yeah.
They had me grow sideburns, which I could barely grow at the time, but I had. And then when Carl rewrote it, he decided my name was Bob Burnsides. And he called me Bob because in the first death, after I was dead and Roy threw me back in the water, I bobbed.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
Like a top?
Yeah. Yeah.
that's hilarious.
But it's funny, no one can find the footage. And Mike Smith, when he wrote the behind the scenes book for us,
That's a brilliant book as well.
yeah, he did a great job with that. He really did.
Yeah.
He searched everywhere out here, and he went to Universal. And the thought is, well, one of the thoughts is that there was a fire in the 1980s, I think, at Universal
no.
Studio.
2008.
They think they got wrecked there. But I just
Yeah,
don't.
it's only audio. The camera.
Is that right? Yeah.
I'm on audio, but
What is this?
yeah,
What like this?
I know.
What?
Where are you?
Who's speaking?
I think they're on a domestic.
Why are you getting fucked over all the time?
Who's
I
speaking?
believe that's Victor Marabelli. I think he's having camera issues. Victor, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. We do have your audio though, Vic.
yeah.
But it dawned on me that, and I haven't investigated this yet, and I thought of this week actually. Joe Elves is coming out with a book about all his storyboards, and I thought, well, you know what? He had to have storyboarded my death. So if we can't get the footage, we could at least get the storyboard of how it was supposed to be shot and edited. So I'm gonna track that down if I can.
That'll be brilliant. That.
So, Billy, so you have this book that I think it just came out in November, your memoir.
Oh yeah, my second book. The first one was about all my TV shows that I created or wrote and produced. And
Which was a great book, by the way. Get in the car, Jane. That was fantastic.
And the new book is about all the plays. We've got 25 plays that my partner Jane and I have written through the years and produced off Broadway and all that stuff. And they're done all over the world now. So I was looking for a sequel to the first book, and I thought this was the most logical thing to put together. So it turned out well, and I've been doing a book tour around the state here, and it's been fun. It's really been fun.
Yeah, the first book I read I think in a couple of days. It was a really easy read. And if you guys haven't got it, and we can post a link to both books. I'll post it on the page after we're done with the Q&A later today. But the first book is very, very funny. It's an easy read. And as Billy said, it talks about kind of what it takes behind the scenes to get sitcoms made. And I hadn't realized how prolific you and Jane were. Just extremely prolific. And some of the names in the book reads like a who's who. It's like Lucille Ball, Frank Sinatra, Don Rickles, Jamie Lee Curtis. I had to write them down. Bob Newhart. I mean, Penny Marshall. The names go on and on and on. I mean, it's just crazy. I did have one question, and I don't know. I'm going to put you on a spot here, but I remember reading it a couple of years ago, and I said, if I ever can speak to Billy again, there's a question I want to ask him, and feel free to not answer it. But I remember reading the book, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was an actor who had a certain dalliance for wearing clothes that were perhaps not his. Do you know what I'm referring to?
That was what you're going to ask me. I was at Lucille Ball's house. We were long story, but I got to be friendly with her, and I was invited to her house, and we were sitting around talking, a group of us, and she was talking about it had just happened that there was a divorce of a famous song and dance man. And the wife knew he was a cross-dresser, and she threatened to expose everything if he didn't give her a lot of money. So he gave her a lot of money. It was never. I don't know if I can say who he was, but let's just say he starred in a movie with Ethel Merman called "There's No Business Like Show Business," and you can figure.
All
it
right,
out.
that's enough. That's good. I thought long and hard about that. I'm like, do I ask him that one? He probably doesn't want to answer that one. But I thought, well, I'm gonna seize my chance.
I thought you were going to ask about the guy who was obsessed with porno stuff.
Well,
Well, go ahead and tell that story.
yeah, I mean, please, you're our guest here. You tell whichever stories you like.
Well, well, let's just say we were doing Jane and I did almost all our sitcoms were based on stand-up comedians. We'd see them, we'd do their act and turn it into a sitcom. And there was one guy I thought was the funniest thing in the world, and we said yes, we'd do it, and we wrote him a show, and everybody said he was a pain in the ass, and it was like, wow, he's really nice to us. Don't worry about it. Well, he turned out to be a pain in the ass. And we wrote the thing, and CBS had bought the show, and Paramount was going to pay for the show, and it was all coming together nicely. And he decided that he didn't like the plot, and the plot was based on his stand-up routine. So it wasn't like we made something up he didn't like. It was something he was good at. And he decided that we need to throw that whole script out, even though it had been approved and we were ready to go shoot it. And we should instead do an episode. The opening episode should be about him and his girlfriend. And we said, but you don't have a girlfriend in the show. And he said, no, but I should. It's like, but that hasn't been approved, you know. And he said, it should be about how my girlfriend and I have trouble because of all the porno we watch. And as he's telling the story, Jane starts looking around the house and sees this big bookcase. And I was like, what's behind that bookcase? You know?
Some questions are better left unanswered.
Yeah. So we finally, and he wouldn't let it go. He just wouldn't let it go. And we called CBS, and they said, why haven't you turned the script in yet? I said, because the guy keeps trying to change it. And they said, what's it about? And I said, he wants us to turn it into a porno thing where the wife and he can't have, the girlfriend and he can't have sex unless they're watching a lot of porno. And they said, this is CBS. We do Murder, She Wrote. And so we ended up canceling the whole thing. And I kept his name out of the book for obvious reasons. But that was the question a lot of people asked. I thought you were going to ask that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, guys, don't be shy.
Yeah,
well, you can tell us the name. We won't tell anyone.
You won't know.
Your secret's safe with me. Is that like showing these people?
A recorded Zoom call that's going on.
I'll tell you his name. I'll tell you his name, and I'll tell you why I didn't put it in the book. He was an incredibly funny stand-up comedian, one of the best stand-up comedians I've ever seen, named Richard Jenny, and he was brilliant. The reason I did not put his name in the book is right around the time I was publishing the book, he killed himself.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know Richard Jenny. I know who he was.
He was great. He was really great. But
he did a wonderful spot about Jaws 4 in one of his stand-ups.
Yeah. Did he really?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So Billy, we all know him.
Okay, well, that was Richard.
I don't know him.
Yeah.
But he was good. He was the fast. He was good, but troubled guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just brought the whole thing down. All right. So
no.
No, probably the only thing good that ever came out of Jaws 4 was the skit that he did in one of his stand-ups.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this guy up. What's his name again?
Richard Jenny, Jeni.
Okay.
I'm gonna look up the bit he did too.
No, I'm gonna look him up.
I've got another question.
Him up. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
You know what the cable junction setup that they made to float in the sea. Did you have special points you were only allowed to walk on, or could you go on the whole island, or did you just have your specific points where you had to go?
It was all
sturdy.
It was a flat floating barge, and then they built all this. They weren't styrofoam. What are they called? They were all fake rocks, and you couldn't stand on them without slipping off. But I never set foot on it, so I wouldn't really know. I was dead.
Because there's a famous scene at the end of the movie. They're all on an island, but you're not there.
I am not there. The camera pulls back, and
Yeah.
you got everybody there. I am not there, and I always say I must have swum around the other side. Can't see me anywhere. And poor Donna Wilkes, we just did a convention thing together, and everybody gives her such a hard time about screaming all the time.
Screaming.
Good Lord, she did.
I have to defend her because she's screaming because she's watching me get killed 3 feet away, and they cut the death out, but they kept screaming him. So like a lunatic.
She should have been a scream queen, though. Like, her screaming was actually amazing.
It
Like,
was.
it really was. Like, I get it was like really annoying, but she really should have gone somewhere with that. She should have been a scream queen. She was up there.
Well, as a result of all that screaming, have you heard her voice lately?
No, I have not.
Way down, way down
Oh
here.
wow.
I think it's from screaming. But anyway, yeah, she's done good. I still see it. I still
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with, Billy. I think you're in touch with all the cast, aren't you? Still on a regular basis, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I just saw Gigi Vorgan and John Dukakis and Gary Springer back east, and Jeff Kramer is all over the place, so we see him all the time. And I'm always talking to Tom Dunlap, who played Timmy, and Keith Gordon, Doug, right? Who's Doug? And Ann Dusenberry. I see her all the time too. And she's going back. She goes back and forth to London. Her daughter's living over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think 2 of Jeff Kramer's children, or children,
Yeah,
they're adults. They live in London also. I think one of them's a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 3 kids. Yeah.
It's okay.
I wonder if he wears a Jaws t-shirt under his white smock. I'd be upset if he didn't.
Well, Jeff always walks around now with the Amity police hat. He's always got that.
Does he really? That's pretty cool.
Say, Jeff,
We spoke to Jeff not long ago. Yeah.
They know who you are without the hat. You don't need the hat. But,
Well, he tells a story that one time he was wearing that hat and he got him out of a speeding ticket. The police officer realised that he was Deputy Hendricks and told him just to slow down and let him go on his way. So it's, so
it helps, I guess. Yeah.
It helps. Yeah, exactly. So
I have another question, if it's okay.
Of course, just go ahead. Yeah.
And my husband helped me with this one. So we would like to know if there was anything on the set of Jaws, something like experience or anything that like just stuck with you.
Well, a lot stuck with me. I was on there 11 months. It's supposed to be a 4-week contract. I was on there 11 months.
Wow.
And it was the first movie I'd ever done, so I learned so much. I learned about cameras. I learned about Neil Travis. Let me go with him and learn about editing. That stuck with me. Murray Hamilton's advice to me first day I met him, that stuck with me. And
what was his advice?
He came up. He didn't say hello. He just came. Keith and Tom and I were together in the Holiday Inn lobby somewhere, and he just walked up to us and said, "They'll kill you, and they won't care as long as they get the shot. They'll kill you, so watch out." He walked away. But, well, we got our first piece of movie advice right there.
Wow.
That is what.
And he wasn't far off because, we had no stunt people except that when they had the one stunt man come in to play me getting killed, and then I redid it. But we had no stunt people. They basically said, "Okay, crash your boat into that boat." We went, "Okay," because we were 19 years old, and so we crashed our boat. There's sharks in the water. Don't worry, we have divers with spear guns, so jump in the water. But there's sharks there. No, we have divers with spear guns. We jump in the water.
Like that was gonna do anything.
Yeah. So we're all pretty much 19 years old and stupid. So we did whatever they told us to do. And then they threw the helicopter blades on us. We on the trampoline of the catamaran. They're throwing things at us. But
is it true there was a hammerhead circling your boat in one of the scenes? You're actually screaming that they're a real shark and they thought you were acting.
No, they knew we were acting. They knew it was real. They just didn't care. Right?
Right?
I think it was mostly. It was Gary and Gigi. It was after the boats had already been smashed together.
Yeah.
We were out there somewhere, and we all had walkie-talkies hidden on the boat somewhere, so we could talk to the
So
the
who's he
director.
talking to? Who's asking him questions?
What?
Who's sorry, Billy. Whose audio is that?
Carino's.
I don't know. Anyway,
Oh, it's weird.
we radioed in to say there's hammerhead sharks circling the boat here, and they sent a guy in a Zodiac out. And we thought it was to come out and get us off the boats and get us back to the barge, and instead it was a guy with a bottle of brandy. Just gave the teenager, but gave the teenagers a bottle of brandy so we would calm down.
Friends out there.
So, yeah, but there were sharks, and there was a little. Keith Gordon had his rubber raft, and there was a little baby shark, maybe that big, that kept trying to sucker onto his boat. Thought it was something else, and he ended up unfortunately running it over when he beached it. But that was. And the only shark that actually scared me turned out to be a basking shark. It was so huge. It was probably as big as the one we were using, and I didn't know what a basking shark was. And but they were all over the place because the local people didn't want us there, and they were the fishermen, one pier down from our hotel. They had what they called a shark rodeo, where they chummed the waters, and whoever caught the biggest shark won. So they did that on purpose to bring sharks, so we would go film somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't like us, and neither did if the waitresses at the hotel had boyfriends, they didn't like us either. We were 11 months with these girls, and I didn't eat. It was weird. I didn't eat fish at the time, and we had the same menu for 11 months. So I had steak night for 11 months.
Oh my gosh.
That's sort of made something pop into my head, really. I mean, we all know obviously that Peter eventually became quite, he became a defender, after Jaws, and obviously the way that it demonized sharks, and that the knock-on effect to that. Was there any concern of that when you were filming Jaws 2? I mean, you're 5 years further down the line, 4 or 5 years down the line. There was no concern that we're still going to be, almost giving that sort of same perception of the sharks as well that Jaws did, but that wasn't really a concern with the film making.
No, I don't think anybody thought that at all.
Yeah,
nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
It was the 70s. It was a different time.
70s child. I was born then.
I wasn't even born when the movie was when the movie came out. So
well, you can leave now. Thank you.
Yeah, me and Mark know that.
Billy is quite something that stuck with me from what you've just said there. The irony of Murray Hamilton warning people that they could die in the water as the actor, where the character would have done completely the opposite.
Yeah, I so liked working with him. I really did. I didn't have any scenes with him at all, I don't think, but he was always fun, just hanging around the hotel, because there was nothing around the hotel. It's hard to even explain this now, because there was the hotel we were at, and then I think you could go 4 miles in each direction, and it was just beach. There was nothing there. Now there's hotels everywhere. So we all got to know each other pretty well. But Murray always hung out in the bar, and let's just say he didn't drink before 5, but it was 5 a.m. But and he always had a lobster claw in his. He wore shorts and a sports jacket, and he always had a lobster claw sticking out of the thing. So if anybody stranger tried to shake his hand, he'd give him a lobster claw. It was fun. It was really fun. Yeah, he wasn't with us long. I think if I remember correctly, I think his wife was sick during our shoot, so they put all his scenes together so he could go home faster.
Is it true he petted a skunk?
He what?
He was coming home one night after shooting. I think he was quite drunk, and he petted what he thought was a cat or a dog, and it was a skunk.
I don't know. I never heard that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jeff Kramer told that story. Yeah, I think that was a true story. Yeah.
If Jeff told it, it may not be a true story.
No, I believe there's validity to that, but that happened on the set of Jaws, and it was out in the waiting room of the hotel where they stayed at. Yeah, yeah.
That would make sense in Martha's Vineyard in Florida. There was nothing. There was nothing there. It was just sand.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite scene or line of dialogue from Jaws 2?
Good question.
My favorite scene would be my death scene because I loved shooting it so much, and nobody ever got to see it. My favorite line. It's funny. Somebody was asking me about how much did we improvise, and I actually started in my head going through. Okay, and I wrote that. I think the only joke that Carl Gottlieb wrote me was the Ireland joke. And I think I like two different lines of mine. I like because it was the first day we were shooting and the boats were crashing together, and I just yelled, "Get me out of here!" And it wasn't scripted. I just yelled it, and every time I see that, I thought, "Oh, that was a good move there, Billy." And I did, and I ad-libbed the thank you on the rocks.
Yeah.
So those were
I use that all the time.
Do you? Do you?
All the time at work, every time.
Most of the time, when I sign pictures, I do 3 thank yous, and then
I've got. You sent me some of them. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, good.
It's got pride of place.
A lot of times, people send me because there were so many of us in the film. We all tried to. I remember the first day we were in Florida, and we were looking around at how many cast members there were, and Keith Gordon and I both ran for the prop department because we wanted something to distinguish ourselves. So we both went for glasses. He got them before I did. So I grabbed that gray hat. He grabbed the other hat. And I can't tell you how many times I get photos in the mail of Keith Gordon asking for my autograph. And I sign it. But I don't. But I sign my name, and then I put an arrow off to the left because I'm not in the picture.
That's hilarious.
Brilliant.
So
Billy,
you've written what 25 plays, I think, with your partner Jane, and obviously the TV shows. To my knowledge, have you ever written a movie that was made?
Yeah, we did I wrote a couple. There was a movie that didn't get made that we wrote for the Martin TV show that we did.
Okay.
HBO was going to have a reunion of all the actors from that, and we wrote that. Never got made. But we did a low budget film called Awake in Providence, and that came about because one of the assistant directors on one of our TV shows had gotten a job directing this little low budget film. And he came up to Jane at one of my Christmas parties, and he said, the script it's ridiculously short, and can you rewrite it for me? And Jane said, yeah, we can be in it. Went, okay, sure. So we ended up writing this thing quickly, and we ended up playing small roles in it. Awake in Providence, that was one. And I'm trying to think. This weird thing is I forget titles of we've done a lot of stuff, so I forget what I did and what I didn't do until somebody asks me about it, and I go, oh yeah. Half the time people ask me about the plays, and I can't think of half the title. But I think we did punch up on 2 other films. They'll come to me. I'll let you know. But Awake in Providence was the only full thing we did, and that was won an audience award at the Florida Film Festival and another film festival.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you prefer writing plays, books? Do you have a favorite medium of what you prefer to write?
I'm now loving writing books because I never did it before until I did that first book a couple years ago. That I'm enjoying because it's a whole new animal. I always like writing the plays because I'm also in the plays. And I like that combination of being able to, and you're in control of your own work. When I write for TV, you want to blow your brains out half the time because you have all these people who have never performed in a comedy in their life giving you notes on how to do a comedy. All the studio people, all the network people, and it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. But they're paying you, so you have to. Somebody equated it this way to me. They said, when I first started writing for TV, they said, you're a playwright, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, let me explain the difference between writing for the theater and writing for TV. In the theater, you're the top of the pyramid, and everybody working on that show is trying to honor your vision of your play. Now you're working in television. You're a blueprint, and people are going to do whatever they want with your script. And as soon as you adjust to that, you'll like it much better. First 2-3 years when we wrote for TV, I hated it because first of all, after writing a play, writing a half an hour sitcom was, we'd do that overnight. But then you'd have people rewriting your work, and you weren't in control of it. We worked with I don't know how much you know him over there, Michael Aitkins, who wrote Waiting for God. I did an American version of that show, and he came over to watch us work. And I loved the way he talked about writing sitcoms in England, where he would write all the episodes and then they would shoot them. Instead of over here, you do one a week and people rip it apart while you're working on it. And then you go and start again and the next one. So you're always being interfered with and micromanaged. And I've often said, no matter how bad a TV show is, I always respect the fact that it got on the air because I know the hoops people had to jump through to get it there, until you become somebody massively huge, like Norman Lear or something, where people don't tell you what to do at all. And then suddenly, and miraculously, the shows are better, But so that's always been rough. But I always preferred the theater. That's where I started. And still doing it. We tour around in the 25th play that Jane and I wrote is it's a show called The Boomer Boys Musical. It's 4 guys of a certain age talking. It's set up like a Rat Pack, like Sinatra would do. It's just 4 microphones and 4 guys talking about the changes that men of a certain age go through. And the whole thing came about because a musical director came to us and said, I'd like to pitch a show for you. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't take pitches. We write our own stuff. And Jane said, oh, no, let's meet with he's a friend. Let's meet with him. So I said, okay. We met with him and he said, I want to do a show about the changes men of a certain age go through. And before I could even open my mouth, Jane said, yes, we'll do it. I said, what do you mean, yes, we'll do it? She said, I'd rather write about it than hear you talk about it all the time. So that's what we did. So it's very sporadic right now, but I still tour with 3 of my friends. We do that around the country.
Billy, talking about the mediums that you work in, obviously you've written music as well, and obviously you've got a lot of musical connections within the family. What's your writing process in terms of music versus the plays? Obviously, plays you say are your favorite. I've just got a new workstation. I'm trying to write music, and it's just so hard getting what's in your head out.
Well, the whole reason we even started writing musicals, we've written 5 musicals of those 25 plays. I think 5 or 6.
High School Reunion was cool.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. We started writing musicals just because it seemed like a challenge, and anything that scares me is something I want to jump into and try. And our best shows, straight or musical, have been things that how are we going to pull this off? And those are the ones that I really like doing. For most of those musicals, we would write the lyrics first. The short version of how to write a musical is you write the book, you write the script first, you take all the important parts of the plot, throw those out, and that's where the songs go. Okay, and so we would write the lyrics first, and then we'd give them to our composers, and they try and make sense of what we did. There are a couple. There's a show called The Pennies which is about a 1960s rock and roll group. Jane wrote all that music by herself, and that was her. She heard it and she plunked it out one finger on a piano, and then the orchestrator did the rest. Every show's been different. We've worked with 3 different composers of those 5 shows, whatever it is. And there are a couple that I would play I don't play the piano, but I'd one finger in on the piano, and get a melody, and then give it to them, and then they would fix it, and then we'd adjust the lyrics and go back and forth that way. But every song that we've written, we knew the style of what we wanted it to be before there was ever any music at all.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. That's a really good tip about writing the story, and then the key parts turn them into the song.
I learned that from David Merrick, who used to produce all the great musicals of the 50s and 60s Broadway. And it really helped. It really helped.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course.
It seems like
another question.
Yeah, go.
Is there somebody you'd like to work with in the future on any other projects?
Yes, there's so many people that I like to work with. Where will I start? It's funny. Most of the people that I like to work with are dead.
I've heard that about Roy. I want Roy to be my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was a fan of all the classic TV stuff and all the old movie stars, that kind of stuff. I still get a little starstruck around those kind of people, but there aren't that many left. But it's funny, I should have this prepared, but I don't. Who do I like? I like Martin Short. I like Steve Martin. These are still old people. Trying to think if there's any young people I like. I'll have to come back to you on that.
It's a different world now, isn't it, with the actors? I mean, I'm 52, and I grew up through the 70s and 80s and watching all those famous stars and everything else. But the up and coming. I mean, and I get that it's a generational thing, but it's a different world as well, isn't it? I mean, that question leads us really into, and Nate sort of prompted us about this, about probably asking you about Lucille Ball and your involvement there with bringing that very first episode to screen. It's not over here. Lucille Ball's Ball's not really a big thing in the UK, as you're probably aware. I mean, we're all aware of it as well, but it's nowhere near as big as it is over on obviously the stateside as well. But that must have been for you. That almost feels like for me, it's something that you just really want to do rather than just let's just do it for the sake of doing it.
Yes, yeah. She and her TV show I Love Lucy got me started in the business. That I wanted to do comedy. I wanted to do that type of comedy, which is very broad physical comedy, but anchored in reality in a way, Because of her, I went back and studied Buster Keaton because that's where she learned her stuff. It just opened up a whole new world for me with her. And then I finally got to work with her, which was unbelievable. It's like being a Beatles fan and suddenly you get to work with Paul McCartney. Nice. You can't do better than that. First I got to guest star. I guest starred on her last show. It was a terrible show, and they handled it badly, I thought. It was a dated show before it even filmed. And then a year after she died, I found the I Love Lucy pilot. Nobody had seen the footage in 40 years. And we did a TV special around that. And that was great. That was like I found gold. It was unbelievable. She taught me timing. Her writers taught me how to write. I studied the scripts, and and that was one of the greatest times of my life doing that stuff.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a Brit living in the US for the past almost 20 years, I mean, you can't and Lucille Ball was not as prominent in the UK as she is in the States, but for the people at the stateside, I mean, Lucille Ball is like an institution. I mean, the I Love Lucy show is it's still showing on reruns. I mean, the show was over 50, 60 years old by this point, maybe even older.
63 or 4 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's incredible that here we are to almost 2025. Still, she's still being talked about. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Her,
she was the most famous person on earth at the time. That's before the internet and all that stuff. Yeah. She was more popular than Chaplin and all those guys. So anyway.
There's a scene I remember of her. I don't know what sticks in my head. She's pressing grapes with her feet in a vat.
Yeah,
and I don't know why that that sticks in my head. Being over this side of it, not being.
It was used in Pretty Woman. That scene.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Was it? Yes.
Yeah.
That's why then. Yeah. There you go.
The other one that's the most famous over here is the Chocolate Factory when everything's going by on the conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was an amazing person, and they say never meet your idols, and I don't believe in that because when I met her, she was exactly what I wanted her to be. She was great. She was great.
So are you, Billy. So are you.
Absolutely.
My idol someday, but y'all blew them up.
Somebody put in the question here, Billy, in the comments. Did you? Apparently, there was a scuffle between Roy and Jeannot on Jaws 2. Were you? Did you see that? Were you around?
Everybody saw that. It was the first thing we were shooting was in the Holiday Inn. So all those extras, the entire cast of kids, Murray and Joe Mascolo and everybody was there. And I think what it was Roy, the actor, testing the new director to see what he could get away with. So he was a pain in the ass to Jeannot on that first day. It was really nasty. And Jeannot, I think it was a thing of if Jeannot weakened, Roy would have run over him the entire show. But Jeannot been around for a while too. And he screamed right back at him, put Roy in his place, and it never happened again. I think it was a test, and Jeannot passed the test, pretty much. Yeah.
What was the atmosphere? Because obviously, famously, John Hancock was kind of let go, and you, I think you were the one of a few that were in John Hancock's vision, right? And you translated to Jeannot's. So how was that? How was the atmosphere? The feeling from obviously John Hancock being fired and then Jeannot coming in to take over, awkward, right? I would imagine.
It was weird because I didn't know why anything had changed. I really didn't. With John was nice. Everybody was nice to him, the producers and all that. And then one day suddenly it just stopped. And I didn't think anything was wrong. I didn't know he was going to be fired. I thought they were shutting down for some mechanical reason or something, and they sent us home. David Elliott, who played what's his name? Was he Larry?
Larry Jr.
Larry Jr., yeah.
Yeah. He and I, Ann Dusenberry, Keith Gordon, and somebody else. We were from the original, and everybody else was new when we showed up in Florida. New cast, new director. But I can't say it was awkward. What I would say is there was a different approach. John's was definitely darker. I think he was much more of an actor's director, and Jeannot was a camera director. And that may have been the difference of why they let him go and brought the other guy in. Everything in Florida, once we got to Florida, the colors of our costumes were brighter, the dialogue was lighter. It wasn't as gory, that kind of thing. And just even the sun in Florida was so bright. When you see Roy go over when the movie starts, he's in Martha's Vineyard. He goes over a bridge, and now he's in white sand with the. So that changed. But I don't think there was the last week we were in Martha's Vineyard, a couple of kids got fired. And I didn't think anybody else was in trouble. I just thought I knew that one kid couldn't swim, and that's probably why they fired him. And when we got to Florida, I never had the feeling anybody was in danger of losing their job. But the first day we were there, they made the cast of kids go into the Gulf of Mexico and prove that we could tread water for 5 minutes. I think based on the other two getting fired. So they brought us out, or had us walk out into the Gulf of Mexico right behind the hotel, and we're all bobbing in the water, you know, treading water, and we did it for 5 minutes, and then we were let go. And what they didn't realize is we could all touch the bottom. So we're just pretending we were swimming, and it turns out that
hard work.
It was terrible. And it turned out that Gary Dubin, who played Eddie, could not swim at all.
Oh my God!
And so when they shot his death scene, the look of panic and terror on his face is not acting. He's drowning because they had to have scuba divers underneath him, pushing him through the water, and he was terrified he was going to drown the entire time. So, but atmosphere-wise, we just once we all got to Florida, it just felt like we were at summer camp or something. We all got along great.
Well, I think that's testament to the earlier question. You guys still pretty much regularly see each other or talk to each other, over, close to that's 78, so almost 40 years ago, or 50 years ago. Excuse me.
Yeah, don't mention that. This is the time. We don't mention the time.
Yeah. It was a while back.
Yeah. God. Yeah, 50 years almost.
That hurts my brain when you say how long ago that was. Oh, that's impossible. That much time has gone.
Well, actually, officially, it was what 45th anniversary of its release then this year, isn't it? It's going to have been this year.
Yeah.
79 release, isn't it? 2024. So it's the 45th.
I think it was 78 in the States. It came out.
We were 78.
It was 45th last year when they brought the 4K version out to celebrate it.
Yeah, 77. We finished shooting in January of 78, and we already knew that the start date was I think June. I mean, I knew it was going to be in a theater in June, so we were under the wire the whole time. I didn't know that, but that's what it was.
I think if you're in a movie called Jaws, probably the second question on the application should be, "Can you swim?" Right? I think you should get to say.
but if you're around actors, you know that we lie.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah.
It's on your resume that you can ride a horse, you can drive stick shift, you can fly a plane, whatever it is. Yeah. Then you get the job. Okay, now I make it. Yeah.
Were there any stunts you weren't allowed to do, or did you do all your own stunt work, or
did all our own stunts? And then they shot the death scene with a stunt man, and they showed the dailies the next day, and I got mad because I said, "It doesn't look like me. The guy's obviously 20 years too old, and why didn't I get to do it?" And they said, "Well, because it's too dangerous." I said, "I want to shoot it with me." And David Brown said, "Okay, we'll shoot it with you. We'll go back in and we'll shoot it with you, but it has to be the last thing we shoot." And I said, "What do you mean it has to be the last thing we shoot? Why?" And he said, "Well, in case you die."
Wow.
So it was the last thing we shot in Florida, and they put ropes around my waist. They stuck me on top of the pontoon of the boat, and the shark came crashing down on top of me, almost like where Marge gets killed.
Yeah.
And as before the thing actually hit Billy, the scuba divers yanked me under the water. So looking back, it was probably one of the stupidest things I ever did in my life. I could have killed, but it was fun to do. All the camera guys kept calling me Buster Keaton because I was on my own stunts. It was fun. But I never got to see it. I never even got to see it, and I didn't know if I lived or died until I saw it in the movie theater and realized, oh, I guess I lived. Okay.
Wow. Amazing.
They always put that famous shot here laid on the boat.
Yeah.
It's always in pictures, and it's it's such a shame we never, like you say, we never got to see it.
Yeah. Well,
I have one last question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Just off of what you were just saying, when you went to see it in the theaters, did you have to buy your own ticket?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, this is funny. There was a premiere that I was invited to, but I was doing a play and I couldn't go. So I go to see it in my local theater, and my local theater put my name. It was like Billy Van Zandt in Jaws 2. It was like, oh, that's nice. So it was a triplex, 2 other theaters, and so people were stopping, ask for autographs, And this one woman comes up to me and she said, "Would you sign one for my son?" I said, "Sure." And I signed. Oh, my daughter's gonna want one. Would you sign one for my daughter? I said, "Yeah, of course." And I signed one for the daughter. "Oh, my neighbors are gonna go crazy. You have to sign." So I'm signing and I'm signing and I'm signing. And I said, "Did you like the movie?" She said, "Oh no, I haven't seen it." She said, no, we're here to see Grease because John Travolta is better than you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That was my first taste of celebrity.
But John Travolta, where is he now exactly? Right?
But
Yeah,
at least Jaws 2 was better than Grease 2. Let's be honest.
Jaws 2 is way better than the original Grease.
Oh, I love Grease.
In my opinion.
I love Grease 2. I'm going to be honest. It's like
Grease 2 is the funniest, worst
I
film
love it.
ever.
I love it.
Well,
Martin loves
that's
Revenge, and I love Grease 2. It's fact.
There's Michelle Pfeiffer in it, so you have
It can't all be bad. Well, this Q&A went off the rails pretty quickly.
my ex-wife was the original Rizzo in Grease on Broadway, so I'm not that much of a fan of the movie because she didn't get to do the movie. So.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I just love that they're all 30-year-old sort of adults trying to play teenagers. I think it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Got more grey in their beard than I have. But I'm at high school.
Billy, is there like a modern day TV show that you wish you'd written, or like would want to be involved with, or you like the premise, or it just really like knocks your socks off? You think it's fantastic?
I don't. First of all, there aren't that many comedies at all. They're not making them. They're certainly not making them with the live audience and the 4 cameras that I did. And I don't enjoy watching comedies because I spend too much time going, "Oh, are you doing that wrong? Oh, I would cast a different person in that." That's my thing. So I'm sure if you're a dentist, you look at people's teeth and all the time too. But now, if there's a dead body and a detective, those are the ones I watch. So those are the.
You mentioned Martin Short and Steve Martin earlier. Have you seen Only Murders in the Building? Do you like that?
Yes, I think they're hilarious in it. I do.
Yeah.
I think great, and I love the Selena Gomez. I think she's terrific.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when they give awards out over here, they lump under best comedy. There's a show called The Bear, which is about a restaurant. And
Over here,
because it's 30 minutes long, they lump it in with the comedies, and that wins best comedy. It's like there's not a laugh in the whole movie, in the whole thing. So, but that's ridiculous. But TV shows that I just flip over. I like all the dark stuff. I just do. It's more fun to me, and I like to see how they've structured the scripts, and you got a lot of good actors doing TV now that never did TV before.
Yeah, I think the TV landscape has changed a lot, because people, nowadays you can binge watch a whole season in over a weekend. So what's your thoughts on that? Like the episodic TV as it was maybe in the 60s through the 80s and even the 90s has changed. A lot of those shows are like a self-contained unit. It was one episode and another episode, but now you have like these, I think that's, The Sopranos was one of the first, right, where it was, what are your thoughts on that? You like that kind of TV, or you wish it was kind of how it was back in the day?
It actually depends on the show. There's some I like spacing out, and there's some I just want to. I get so into it, if I don't follow it with this next episode, I don't know what's happening in the second episode. There's just too many things going on in life,
Sure.
Yeah, it depends on the show.
I love binging. I love to binge. I think it's great.
Binging?
Yeah, now, again, being in my 50s, it very much was. I think the shows would go up over here, but you'd have to wait for when it was on, and you couldn't record. There's no recording. There's no streaming. It's literally you had to be, if you weren't in front of the television when it was on, you missed it. It was as simple as that. The way it is. And I got over here in the 70s, we had like 3 channels. That was it. We had 3 television channels. I remember Channel 4 being launched. It was like groundbreaking. We had a 4th television channel. You guys in America still going like, well, I'm still clicking at 105. Oh, I love binging. I'm binging Yellowstone at the moment. Absolutely binging it. I'm late to the party. I started it 2 weeks ago, and I'm halfway through season 3, and I think it's
which show?
Yellowstone.
Oh yeah.
Finale is tomorrow.
I haven't seen the new season.
I've been Supernatural all 15 seasons in like 2.5 months.
Wow.
Wow.
I did Breaking Bad in 12 days.
That's a record. That's pretty good.
64 episodes. I was unemployed at the time, so
It's a heavy show to watch. Oh,
yeah.
I love Breaking Bad. Yeah. Yeah.
Billy,
Is there any-
go on, Phil. Go on.
Oh, obviously, is there any roles that you turned down that you regretted?
Yes. One.
Who's in the Deer Hunter?
Best Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh,
right,
wow.
Judge Reinhold's role.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I don't know.
Could have been in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah. He's made a bunch of lousy movies too, so maybe I made the right choice.
You could have got to Perv on Phoebe Cates though.
Yeah, that's.
Was it the girl in the Gremlins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No.
And Drop Dead Fred.
Yep, Drop Dead Fred. I've seen that one and the Gremlins.
But it wasn't yours too, so that's all that matters.
Rick Mail, what a god! What a god.
It seems to be very Brit heavy this Q&A today.
Good for me. I got once I started writing for TV, my acting career just went away, and I would go back every year during our TV hiatus, and I'd do a play. So I did both. I did TV as a writer, and then I would go back and act in my own plays, and I did that straight for 33 years. Every year, new show. And then every once in a while I'll go, let me get back into acting full time, and then I realize how badly actors are treated, and I go, no, I think I'll write again. So give you an idea. I went to when I first started writing for TV, I had just auditioned for Bob Newhart's TV show as an actor. And they made me park off the lot because I was an actor, so I had to walk into the studio in 110-degree heat and find my way to the sound stage. And I was hot and exhausted. And I asked if there was any water, and they said no, but you can go into the men's room and put your head under the sink.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
2 weeks later, Jane and I got an interview to write for that show. Same show. They let me drive onto the lot, park next to the sound stage. And would you like, can we get you a Coke or anything? Would you like something to drink? Yes, that would be lovely.
Wow.
Right.
How the other half live?
It's amazing.
So we think us normal people in the normal world, we think that being in films and everything else we've got them on a pedestal, but the impression you're giving there is not really not. Depending. I mean, obviously, if you're Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt's a little bit different, granted, but
I will say, even
you're better the pen side. That's what you're saying. You're happier. Thanks for the pen side. Yeah.
Even Lucille Ball, who is a legend, an iconic legend, after the last TV show she did not work. Aaron Spelling, big producer out here, subbed her at a restaurant. He saw her and didn't say hello to her because she had kind of thing. And when I went to her house the night I was talking about earlier, the reviews had just come out and they were horrible reviews. And she opened the door, She said, "Hello, I used to be in television." Wow.
Do they still have the Lucille Ball experience at Universal Studios in Hollywood? Because I went there years ago, and
I don't
like
think that's
we say, we
fair to-
don't.
I think they moved it all to Jamestown, New York, to where the comedy museum that's up there. Jamestown,
Right.
where she was from, and there's a whole huge comedy museum with film clips from everything you ever want to see, and all her belongings and stuff.
Yeah.
I have another quick question.
Yeah.
How would you rank to your liking the Jaws franchise without being biased that you're in the second one?
I think it's in the right order.
Okay.
Can't argue with that. I don't think any of us can argue with that, really.
Oh, three and four.
I should.
Video thing.
Three's terrible.
I remember laughing.
Hang on a minute.
I remember
Three's good because it had Leah Thompson in it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Billy.
And Bess Armstrong, I thought she was cute too. I probably should see Jaws 3 again. I thought the 3D thing didn't work, and I thought, if I remember this correctly, and I only saw it when it first came out. It felt like the shark was like this big, then it was that big, then it was this big.
Yeah.
That was a mommy and the baby, though.
Oh well, that too.
Yeah.
But Joe's a friend, and every time I've been with him, people come up to get an autograph from him and then insult his movie to him. You know? I just don't do that. So I think I should see that again, so I can find something redeeming to talk about with that. Jaws 4, I remember, whatever it's called, Revenge. I remember laughing at it while I was watching it in the theater. It was just stupid. It was just stupid to me.
Why did Lorraine do that? Do you know? I mean, because
Sid Sheinberg. Sid Sheinberg. Yeah.
It was her husband, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And it was
Right.
a big franchise, so I can see on paper that it sort of made sense to do it. But the basic thing, the shark took it personally and followed her to Bermuda or whatever it is.
She's down to the water and senses the shark. You go, oh, come on, you know.
I'm telling you,
be honest-
go find Richard Jennings' bit on this because it is hilarious.
Okay, I will. I'm gonna look for it.
I'm going
To be honest, we've missed the most key Jaws. It goes Jaws 1, Jaws 2, and then before 3 and the Revenge is Jaws 27 in Back to the Future.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Still looks fake.
I wanted to.
Can I just ask, what do you think is an enjoyable shark movie after Jaws? And have you seen Under Paris?
Water,
Did you rate that?
Open Water, I think, is that the name of it? Is really good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
You don't like that one?
No.
Oh, I like
Well, we can have different opinions. It's okay.
Oh,
There's no right or wrong here.
I just thought that was
water. Yeah.
very real to me. I never.
Have you seen Under Paris?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Under Paris is good. I'm with you. I'm with you.
awful.
Yeah.
What about
It was
47
okay.
down?
It's so much
Which one?
homage to Jaws in Under Paris. And
Yeah,
if you
there
watch
are.
it in,
Yeah, there-
watch it in French, it absolutely fits. Absolutely. The Shallows is good.
The Shallows is good. I'll give
It's
you that.
okay.
I liked The Shallows.
Yeah,
The ending's stupid. I mean, a shark could have smashed itself
Yes.
into its own head, but
Shallows is good.
Yeah.
But all the stupid Sharknado things, I don't want to.
That's funny,
Anything
though.
with David
a guy with a
Hasselhoff in it.
24-foot sort of like chainsaw that cuts a shark in half as it goes past him.
The one I haven't seen that I wanted to see was Indianapolis. I don't know if that's good or not.
The USS
Oh.
Indianapolis with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
That's good.
Terrifying.
There was an original, wasn't there, with Henry Thomas from
Yeah.
the Waltons.
E.T..
Yeah, that was
Oh,
the original.
Yeah.
Well, I say the original, but about the story of
Oh,
Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
So
did.
Henry. Yeah. So is it Henry? No, is it Henry Thomas? Have I got that right?
Henry Thomas was in E.T.
No,
Richard
so-
Thomas. Richard
It was
Thomas.
Richard Thomas. So yeah, he was in a version of that. Wasn't it called The Mission of the Shark?
Yeah. I think it
Mission of the
was.
Shark, it's called, which is about the Indianapolis. I mean, Nicolas Cage, I can take or leave if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I find him.
Hey guys, I just want to jump in. I want to be respectful of Billy's time. Billy, are you okay to stay
Yeah.
down for a little bit longer? Are we good?
no idea what time it is, but yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Well, can you regale us with the Tom Cruise Sean Penn wedding story? I didn't forget.
Oh,
I wrote it
yes.
down.
Well done, Martin. Well done.
Okay, so I'm invited to what first? Somebody has sent me a script. Nicholas Kazan, who wrote the script, that's who it was, sent me a script for a movie, and he wanted me to get it to Bruce Springsteen, who's a friend of the family, because he wanted him to sign on with his music to try and help sell the film. Well, I don't do that. Our family doesn't do that stuff. So I read the script anyway, and since I had it, and I didn't pass it on to Bruce, but I said to Sean, who were friends at the time, I said, "You've got to option this and make this movie. This is fantastic. You can play the lead." And it was called At Close Range. Christopher Walken did it.
Yeah.
And Sean did it. And Sean read it, loved it, and it was the first thing he produced as a producer. And he said, "Okay, I'm going to play this part. You're going to play this small part here." And I said, "Fantastic." Well, the movie came along, and suddenly I wasn't cast in it. And he said, the director said, "You're too old for the role." And I said, "Okay, that happens, whatever." So then I get invited to his wedding to Madonna. So I go to Sean's wedding, and I'm talking to Tom, and a guy comes up to us and starts talking. And I said, "How do you know Sean?" He said, "Oh, I just did a movie with him." I said, "Oh, really? What movie?" He said, "At Close Range." I said, "Oh, what role did you play?" And he mentions my role. And Tom starts laughing at me, top of his lungs, because he knows I got screwed out of a role I was perfectly okay to play. He thought it was hilarious that Sean had screwed me out of this role.
Oh my gosh!
So later on at the reception, he says, "Billy, would you do me a favor? Would you drive me to my car?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The paparazzi are all over the place these days. They're outside here, and I don't want to." I had to take. I parked behind a supermarket and took a cab to get here because I didn't want them following me or coming to my house. So, "Can you drive me home?" I said, "Yeah, that's fine." I said, "I'll get my car from the valet. I'll signal you. You come out. I'll drive you to your car." He said, "Terrific." So at the end of the night, I get the car from the valet. I signal to Tom. He comes out, and as he reaches for the door handle, I drove away. All the paparazzi, all of them trapped out there. So I got even with him for that. And then he told me later on, he thought it was funny, thank God. But he told me later on that he said, "I just jumped in the next car. I didn't care whose it was. I just jumped in the next car." And I said, "Whose car was it?" "Andy Warhol."
Oh,
And what was that like? He said, "It was weird." He said, "No one talked to me. They just stared at me like I was a painting until they got into my car."
wow.
So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
When Tom first came out to LA, see, I always knew where Lucy's house was, right? Back then it was just called being a fan. Now it would be called stalking somebody. I used to go to her house, go to park outside her house, waiting for her to come out so I could meet her. And it was a very celebrity heavy block. Jack Benny and Rosemary Clooney and Agnes Moorehead and Ira Gershwin and Jimmy Stewart, they all lived on the same block.
Wow.
So anytime somebody came from out of town, that's the one place I knew I could take them. This is this person's house. That's that person's house. So when Tom first came out after Pabst, Sean and I got him at the airport, and I drove straight to Lucy's house like I did for anybody else who came to town. And he didn't know what was going on, and Sean thought it was funny that I used to do this. So so at one point, Tom Cruise, Sean Penn, and I were parked outside Lucille Ball's house, stalking her, waiting for her to come out.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Anyway,
Billy, we're on holiday at the moment. We've got to head down for dinner. But thank you so much for answering my questions and for being with us. Really appreciate it. And if it's okay with you, I'd just like to give a nod to Mr. Elric for your amazing impressions of our illustrious leader, and the Jaws 4 thing was absolutely spot on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Billy. Cheers for inviting me.
Yeah.
Enjoy your holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bloody warmer there than it is bloody here, I'm sure. So yeah.
Yeah. But 23 today, so it's all right.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. Yeah. Okay, I'll go. So, thanks, Billy. Lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're about 90 minutes in. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. You know, Billy, thank you so much for doing this for us. It's, you know, it's always a pleasure. Love the stories. For me, I love the non-Jaws 2 stories. I'm so interested in the things you've done. It's really incredible. And thank you for being so gracious to join with us this morning. Well, this afternoon, where most of us are. But thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Martin. Thank you.
You're a gentleman.
Really appreciate this. This is superb for us. Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to put the link in for Billy's new memoir book. So please go and check that out. Also for the Get in the Car, Jane, which I can't recommend that book enough. It's such a fun read. You know, and there's so many good stories in there. And like I said earlier, it's like a who's who of Hollywood, past and present. It's just a fun read, easy read. So I'll post those links on the page once we finished up later today. And thank you so much. And thank you, Jan, for helping me put this together. Much appreciated. And again, thank you so much, Billy, and all the best for everything in the future.
Thank you.
Billy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Happy
you.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're awesome.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You too.